Hope you're doing well today on this bright and beautiful Sunday if you're down here in the south. I'm certainly enjoying it out here. We are, gosh, March is about to be over, isn't it? Everything is going by so fast now. Today's feeding day. I know that I normally would have a video up by now, but I haven't really had a chance to plan a video or make a video. This week has been very, very busy. But nonetheless, how are you guys doing? I hope everything's going well. I hope you're having a great start to your breeding season here. I've seen some of our friends on Instagram posting about their very first locks or the first few locks of the season, and it's very, very exciting time for a lot of people. The weather's really nice, and it just gets you in the mood to breed some snakes. A few that we plan on pairing up this season to see if we can try again. We only really tried with one pair, which I've explained that. I've talked about that a little bit in another video, how that really didn't work out. We don't really know what happened there. But we're hoping to be able to do some more things this year. And you know what? If this year doesn't work out, a lot of our other snakes that have to get to 2 or 3 years old, they're going to be there next year. So the next season will hopefully be a season for us where we will get to really dive into breeding. I'm super excited about getting to go to some more reptile shows too, now that the weather's warming up and it's nicer outside. But when I was checking on a lot of the local shows that we normally go to, like the Show Me Snakes show that they have in Gadsden, very end of May, like May 29th, and our first baby could very well be here by then, so I might not get to go. I was looking and I couldn't find any in April. I looked at Repticon Birmingham and I didn't see any there, so if you guys know of any upcoming reptile shows within the next month, let me know down in the comments below, because I've been really dying to go to another one. I just feel like I haven't been to a really good one in a good few months, so I would be very excited to be able to go to one of those before our baby gets here. I got this little, it's like a little TV stand from my mom. It's a black one. I'm going to put it up there in the reptile room, and it's got space for basically 2 enclosures. Now, whether or not I do tubs or tanks, that's something I have to decide, but I'm debating on whether I want to get like a pair, like a breeding adult pair of Kenyan sand boas, or if I want to kind of delve into something else, get a pair of snakes that are something we don't already have. I've been researching a lot of different breeds of colubrids and things like that, things that stay a little bit on the smaller side, and some things that, are more so like breed year round. The last video I did was about boa constrictors. If you really enjoyed that video and there's any type of other video on any other snakes or reptiles we have that you would like me to do, let me know. That would be a good little series to do, like just some little care videos about some of the different types of snakes and reptiles we have. There's also getting nice, and we are going to be having some reptile shows pop back up. That there's going to be a lot of people, a lot of families going to shows, and they're going to be getting their very first reptile. Maybe they've never had a snake before, a lizard before, some of the amphibians before, and they're going to be getting their first pet. So I highly encourage you, when you go to a reptile show, make sure that if you're really interested in something that, there are people that get things on a whim at a reptile show. But, you can certainly do that. It's up to you, but it makes things a lot easier if you kind of do some research and start thinking about the type of reptile that you really want, and then go ahead and start preparing, at least financially, because that even if you don't decide to go ahead and get all of your equipment and your enclosure and everything beforehand, you can get it at the show, but you still want to have a list of everything you need. I know that what I've done before is, if I've planned on getting all of my supplies and enclosure and all that stuff for the show, I would at least have me a list together to take with me, so that I could check things off the list, and I knew it was everything I needed because I had already done my research. So I highly encourage that if you're planning on going to a show soon and, you know, this might be your first reptile or maybe a new reptile that you've never had before. So I will be doing a video on tub and glass enclosure setups. There's been some debate. You know, it goes on, it goes on, it goes on. It goes away, it comes back, goes away, comes back. But it's a lot of times when the pet keeping world and the breeding world kind of collide a little bit, and you've got people in the pet keeping world who strictly pet keep, they have no plans to breed, and they have a bone to pick with breeders about using rack systems and tubs in general. And, you know, they're concerned about the size, they're concerned about the lack of enrichment, all those types of things. They're very worried about our animals and think that they are not being treated how they should be treated, and they think that our animals are not thriving. If you haven't seen her video on it yet, I'd highly recommend to go to Kelsey's Constrictors. She has a recent video where it's such a great video. It talks about the whole entire spectrum of this. It talks about the pros and cons of either enclosure, and it really dives into the core issue when it comes to trying to say one is better than the other, because this is something that's been debated over and over and over, and it never does anything but separate people in the reptile community. It never brings anybody together. It only divides people. And this was actually a video I requested her to do because she and I actually had a lengthy conversation over the phone about it, because we both feel the same way. You know, we're both in the same boat. You know, we're in the breeding aspect of keeping mostly, and, you know, like, she has some tanks and I've got some tanks, and, you know, so some of our reptiles do stay in glass enclosures, but the majority of our snakes stay in rack systems or tubs. And so, you know, it's a little offensive and hurtful to think that there's people out there that really assume that we are, you know, being abusive towards our animals and not giving our animals everything that they need, when we know that our animals are thriving, because you know your own animals better than anybody else. But I highly suggest you go watch that video. And I kind of wanted to piggyback on top of that subject and do a video in the near future about how to properly set up a tub if that's what you want to do, and then how to properly set up a vivarium, tank enclosure, whatever you want to call it, glass enclosure, and kind of explain to you the differences between the two and the pros and cons, like, you know, some of the things that Kelsey was referencing when it comes to the difference between how much better, per se, the humidity can be kept in a tub versus a glass enclosure. So that, and I will also go over some different things about what kind of snakes actually would do better in a glass enclosure. And a lot of times when I think about that myself, I'm thinking about snakes that can thrive in a drier environment, because that way you're not really having to worry so much about humidity. You're not having to worry so much about the top lid of your enclosure being, you know, covered halfway or covered mostly except for where your heat lamps are, because, you know, that's a big issue with glass tanks and humidity, is you're not able to keep the humidity in because it comes out through the screen top. So you know, I would say snakes that thrive better in arid environments, just environments that don't require a lot of humidity, like rosy boas, Kenyan sand boas, African house snakes. There's quite, like, king snakes can do really well, because, you know, king snakes, they need some humidity, but, you know, their requirements are not as dire. You know, like, they don't have such a dire need for a certain amount of humidity as things like boa constrictors, ball pythons, reticulated pythons, things like that you would find in an area where they have to have this certain range of humidity or they're not going to thrive. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed today's video. I know it wasn't much, but I wanted to make one, so let me know how you guys are doing in the comments. What's going on with your breeding plans this year? I'd love to know. Are you excited for any reptile shows coming up? Are you planning on getting any new snakes? Is there any new projects that you're wanting to get into? Also, if you haven't already, please like and subscribe. And if you want to see daily content from us, follow us on Instagram at magic_city_morse. See you next time.